Let's get more now on our top story. Joining me from Sydney is New South Wales Minister for Planning and Public Spaces and member for Pittwater, Rob Stokes. Minister, there were just 5 new cases of coronavirus in New South Wales today, which is, of course, good news, but disappointing news for those still in lockdown on the northern beaches.
Gab, look, it's pretty depressing up here in Pittwater. I mean, it's in one sense, it's paradise to be locked down up in this neck of the woods, but it is a holiday town, so a lot of businesses are doing it very tough. They were counting on this month to basically make up the losses that they experienced during the lockdown earlier this year. They are suffering, and obviously there's a lot of local families whose holidays are in disarray, and still a lot of people who are in isolation, having visited some of those venues. So really, people are sort of putting their best spin on it, but it's not a great time.
So what do you make of the Premier's response? Do you think that this lockdown shouldn't have been extended and perhaps businesses should be able to reopen there?
I would love businesses to be able to reopen, and I know they would too. But we also need to keep everyone safe, and we recognise up here that we have a particular responsibility at the moment to step up. That's exactly what everyone in my community has been doing. I mean, we've had more than 94,000 tests over the past couple of weeks on the northern beaches alone, and most of them have been from my neck of the woods up the Pittwater end of the peninsula. So everyone's been doing everything that's been asked of them, and we're seeing that in terms of the slowly reducing number of infections. But we still have a virus in the community, so we've still got a little bit of a road ahead.
The Health Minister, Greg Hunt, said earlier today that this outbreak in the northern beaches could have turned into a Melbourne-style second wave. Were you surprised at just how well everyone on the northern beaches has responded to this outbreak with such high testing rates? And it seems as though the cases are getting under control.
Yeah, again, I honestly could not be prouder of the people it's my privilege to represent. They have done everything that's been asked of them and more. People have been, have really stepped up. They know that they have the capacity to stop this outbreak from spreading, and that's exactly what everyone has done. It's almost been like a call up from World War I or something. The lines outside the testing clinics have been incredible, and everyone sees it as just their civic duty to keep safe, to make sure that others are safe, to wear masks when out in public, particularly in shops, and otherwise just to make the best you can of hunkering down with your immediate family. But obviously it's a very sad time, particularly for a lot of kids who were anticipating going on holidays. But it is we've all got to make the best of it. And again, I couldn't be prouder of the people I represent.
Testing numbers have dropped off over the past 2 days. There was just over 15,000 tests conducted yesterday. Are you concerned that people are not coming forward and getting tested?
Look, I think everyone has done everything that's been expected of them up until now. I think there was a huge effort early on, and I think part of that was due to there might be some hope that we can open up before Christmas. I think we're starting to see a little bit of testing fatigue because again, it's not the most pleasant thing to do in the world, and so people don't want to do it unless they have to. But of course, we're going to have to get those testing numbers back up, and that's my encouragement to everyone in the community to get out of this period. We've got to keep getting tested, but it is what it is, isn't it?
New Year's Eve is going to be different for all Sydney-siders, particularly those that are in lockdown. What's your message to those who were hoping to have a bigger celebration this New Year's Eve?
Well, look, I know my sock drawer is going to be pretty well organised by the end of this, and we've just got to keep a sense of humour and try and grin and bear it and get through it. Great chance to get to know your family a bit better. To get those teenagers talking. So again, we've got to look at sort of a bit of Aussie spirit and enjoy it as much as we can. But again, how fortunate are we? I think the most positive thing we can do is reflect on how lucky we are. Even those enduring lockdown in Pittwater, you consider people in other parts of the world and what they're going through. Again, we're in summer. We're in the best bit of the best country on earth. And while people are removed from their families, and thousands of my constituents are in isolation, in lockdown, we're still doing it at a pretty good spot. But can I say to everyone else who's listening in that a lockdown, isolation is a hard thing to go through. So my plea to you all, as someone who's living through it with all my neighbours and friends and constituents right now, get tested and keep yourselves safe. You don't want to be in a position of lockdown. You don't want to be in a period of isolation for 14 days, and you certainly don't want to get this virus.
Great, encouraging advice to everyone in Sydney. Just finally, before I let you go, what do you make of the Premier's responses around the country, who have essentially shut the borders to New South Wales and Sydney and the Northern Beaches because of the outbreak? Do you think it's an overreaction?
Well, I mean, what more can we do? We have locked down the community, which is the epicentre of this outbreak. Everyone is doing everything that's asked of them. There is no more risk in other parts of Sydney than there are in other parts of the country. So I do think, I certainly agree with my Premier that it's an overreaction. Obviously, they're going to do what they think is right. But as someone on the ground, we are doing everything. This is a textbook example of how to respond to a lockdown. We've got the best contact tracers in the nation. Everyone is doing everything they possibly can. And I think, particularly the Queensland Premier and so forth, stopping people from other parts of New South Wales coming to your state for their Christmas holidays, hurting your own community, your own businesses, it doesn't make any sense. And again, we're doing the right thing by locking down where the specific outbreak is and taking a proportionate response. And that's really all we can do, and follow the health advice and keep our spirits up.
Rob Stokes, thank you so much for joining me this afternoon, and all the best for the next few days of lockdown.
Should be fun. Thanks a lot.